everybody, and welcome to Hungary's favorite language learning video blog. I'm your host, Michael Lyons. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Irish holiday St. Patrick's Day with English teacher and Irish native Claire O'Brien. Claire will be telling us a little bit about the origins of St. Patrick's Day, how it's celebrated in Ireland and in the rest of the world, and if we're lucky, we might even learn a few new English phrases typically used in Ireland. First of all, welcome Claire, or Fáilte a chlór.
Thank you.
How long have you been in Hungary now, and how are you enjoying your stay so far? What are your impressions of Budapest, for example?
I haven't been in Hungary for very long. I've only been here for about 3 weeks now. But so far I love it. The city is amazing, there's a lot to do, the people are lovely. The Hungarian language is a bit difficult, so that's causing some problems, but we're working on pushing through those, but so far it's fantastic.
So far so good.
Definitely recommend it.
Okay, excellent. With Hungarian you'll find, and this is meant to be encouragement, that it's one of those languages that's difficult in the beginning, and then gets easier as you go.
I hope so, because
stick with it. Stick with it, you'll be fine. Okay. Well, first of all, what is St. Patrick's Day? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Nowadays, St. Patrick's Day is a celebration of all things Irish.
Mm-hmm.
So people around the world, they dress in green, they drink a Guinness. In a lot of cities there are parades. It's just a celebration of Ireland and Irishness, because over the last few decades there's been a lot of Irish immigration. Mm-hmm. So there's big Irish communities all over the world, and St. Patrick's Day is just the day where we get to feel Irish again. But as well as that, it's also a Christian holiday. Mm-hmm. So obviously with St. Patrick. But that has become a little bit lost recently, that nowadays it's more about Guinness and leprechauns than St. Patrick himself. And that it's become more about leprechauns, we think is a little bit ironic.
Why?
Because leprechauns are traditionally associated with the gods who were in Ireland before Christianity
so
came.
More of a pagan.
Yeah, so it's leprechauns are pagan, they're fairies, so it's kind of funny.
And then leprechauns in a Christian holiday.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense.
Doesn't make sense at all?
Yeah.
Okay. But, and it's become a bit commercialised.
It's become very commercialised, and the Irish government have really pushed that.
Okay, so it didn't happen by itself,
no.
But that's something that, okay,
no,
is encouraged.
Yeah, it's really encouraged, because in the last century Ireland was pretty poor. We made most of our money off tourism, so we were pushing as much about Ireland as we could, and St. Patrick's Day was a really big part of that, and people in the world love it. It's something different to do.
And how else would you get a lot of people to go to Ireland in the middle of March?
Exactly. It's freezing and it's raining.
When the weather is horrible. Very clever marketing, I like that. Okay, how is it celebrated, for example, in Ireland?
In Ireland, to be honest, it's not actually as big as it is in other parts of the world. Mm-hmm. So for example, I think in Sydney, in Boston, in New York, there are huge celebrations, because there's big Irish immigrant communities there. But in Ireland, it's a much smaller affair. In Dublin, they have a big parade, they have traditional Irish music and traditional Irish dancing, but 9 out of 10 people you'll find there are going to be tourists. That the locals will they will leave Dublin and go back to their hometown. I
see. So it's sort of like, I don't know, Munich during Oktoberfest.
Yes, so you
filled
won't
with
find a
tourists,
local.
You won't find any Germans there.
Yeah. So most people go back to their own villages, and they'll celebrate in their village, in the pub mostly, with their family. And it is actually also still a Christian holiday, so you'll find lots of religious processions and masses and things like that as well.
Okay.
But it is actually kind of it's a small enough affair.
Okay, so it's kept much smaller than you would find it in New York or Boston or other places like this. How do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day in Ireland with your family?
For me, normally I go to the parade in my village. I'm from a village, I'm not from the city. So I go to the parade with my mother in the morning, and then in the afternoon we'll go straight to the pub, and I'll meet with the rest of my family there, because normally my brother and my father help organise the parade.
Oh, okay.
So they'll wait till that wraps up, and then we'll all go to the pub, and we'll stay there until the money runs out pretty much.
I like that. I like that.
But for us as children, it was an absolutely fantastic day.
And why? Why was it? Because you think of St. Patrick's Day in pubs and so forth, but why would it be special for children?
Because Ireland is still quite a Catholic country, and children especially celebrate Lent. So Lent is the 40 days coming up to Easter.
Okay.
And normally they'll give up something like sweets or chocolate. But on St. Patrick's Day, we have an exemption from this. So children save all of their sweets and all of their chocolate from Lent just to eat on the 17th of March.
I see.
And you eat until you're sick.
So the adults are in the pub drinking until they're sick, and the kids are eating chocolate until...
Yeah, it's a very messy day.
Okay.
But you eat as much as you can, because the next day you have to give up again until Easter.
I see. Okay, it's like a sailder on leave or something for the weekend. Here's a question for you. Do you plan to celebrate, because St. Patrick's Day it's coming up right now, do you plan to celebrate St. Patrick's Day here in Hungary?
Yeah, actually, I hear there's a parade happening, so I'd like to go and march in the parade, because I've marched in parades in other cities. I marched in the Tokyo St. Patrick's Day parade. Yeah, it was good fun. There was lots of people dressed up as potatoes, which I think says a lot more about Ireland than the leprechauns.
Yes.
So I'm going to go to the parade here in Budapest, and I think there's traditional music on in one of the pubs afterwards, which I love. So it really reminds me of home. I haven't been back to Ireland in a long time, so it makes me feel nostalgic. So
It'll be
I'll
nice.
go and have a listen.
Excellent. So you will be celebrating it?
Most definitely.
Absolutely. Good. Now, you said that these days St. Patrick's Day, especially abroad, is no longer about St. Patrick. It's commercial in pubs and leprechauns and so forth. But who was St. Patrick? Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Contrary to popular belief, St. Patrick was not Irish. St. Patrick came from Wales.
Really?
He was kidnapped at the age of 16 by Irish pirates.
Really?
Because we loved kidnapping people back then. So this is about 1,500 years ago, in the year 400. And he was brought to Ireland as a slave, and he worked farming sheep on a mountain for 6 years until he managed to escape. And the story that we're told as children is that one day St. Patrick was on a mountain and he had his pigs around him, and God told St. Patrick to go and follow a pig. So St. Patrick followed the pig, and he found a big piece of gold on the ground. So he brought the gold down to his master, he paid for his freedom, and he got on a boat and went back to Wales. And of course, what happened to this big piece of gold after St. Patrick left? It turned back to dirt.
Okay, that's good. I like
putting
that
those values in our stories. So St. Patrick studied in Wales and eventually became a bishop.
Oh, okay.
And then he came back to Ireland. Apparently God told him that we needed his help. So he came back to Ireland and started trying to convert the population. And he did that using the most famous sign, the shamrock. And he did this to explain the connection between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, that they're all joined together. But the reason he became so famous, because there were a lot of missionaries in Ireland at the time, was because he managed to convert one of the high kings of Ireland, so the biggest king in Ireland.
I see.
And then after that he was given the freedom to build churches and to convert other people.
Okay.
So before then, the Christians in Ireland were just kind of hermits living on their own on islands. That St. Patrick was the first big guy to come and say, everybody join us.
Okay.
But it was a long battle. Ireland really never embraced full Catholicism like the way the Pope would want it, until very, very recently. So it was a long struggle.
Uphill battle. Okay, that's so he was Welsh. That's interesting. What about snakes? We hear about St. Patrick and snakes, and he made all the snakes disappear in Ireland or something. What's behind that?
What people think is behind it, what historians think is behind it, is before St. Patrick came, our priests in Ireland, they were called druids, and they used a lot of serpentine symbology. I see. It was said they had tattoos of snakes on their arms, and that some of the gods in Ireland were shaped like snakes. I see. So when we say St. Patrick got rid of the snakes from Ireland, they mean that they destroyed the old religion.
Okay, and these sort of pagan symbols and so forth.
So he broke the snake on the ground.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's an interesting piece of information. Okay, one last thing. Can you share any words or phrases that someone visiting Ireland might want to know or find useful or funny?
Yes, our dialect in Ireland can be quite difficult, particularly if you're going to Dublin, which most people would for St. Patrick's Day. So one of the first things that catches people by surprise is the way people say hello. So in Dublin, if you're walking along, people greet each other on the street a lot, and they will say, how are ya? Which is how are you, said kind of quickly.
Kind of mashed into one.
Yeah, but they're not asking how you are.
Aha.
They're just saying hello. So
That's just a way of saying hello, they're not expecting a real response.
No, so the correct response is, how are you? So you say, how are you?
So it's like hello, hello,
yeah,
basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if we want to ask how you are, we'll actually say, how are you?
Okay, and that's how you know the difference, that they're really curious about how you are.
So I used to work with some foreign colleagues, and I used to come in the morning and say, oh, how are you? How are you? And they'd be wondering why I was saying it twice.
They don't feel the difference, which is logical.
No, but it's a big difference for us. So if you respond, if I say, how are you? And you say, I'm fine. I'm like, oh no, what did I ask?
Okay.
Because we're not actually asking how you are.
Okay, just a way of greeting somebody, just a way of saying hi.
Yeah, and the answer to how are you in Ireland is also a bit different. We don't really like it if people say I'm fine or I'm great. This is a bit too positive. We always say I'm not bad or I'm grand.
I'm grand.
Yes.
That's such a lovely...
Grand is the #1 Irish word.
Really?
In most other English-speaking cultures, grand is something that's big or fantastic,
yes,
amazing.
Yes.
But in Ireland it means okay. And you say it for everything, any question you get asked.
But it only means okay, or is it something more positive than that?
No, it can be okay or bad.
Okay.
But you never say something was bad because that's negative.
Right, right.
So if I ask you how the traffic was, you say it was grand. How the weather? It was grand.
It was okay.
How did the interview go? I was grand.
Really? Really?
Yes. Or how are you today? I'm grand.
Okay.
Everything, the answer is grand. And so people hear that a lot and they don't know what it means.
Okay.
And then another way to ask how are you, which is really common, is we say what's the crack?
What's the crack?
Yes. So crack is an extremely important word in our vocabulary.
And what does it mean?
Fun or good atmosphere. So you ask what's the crack? So it really means what did you do since I last saw you?
Really?
Yeah, what kind of fun things did you do? And the answer is not much, or you tell a story.
I see.
And a lot of the time people describe their night or their day as great crack, so it was great fun.
So the party, for example, was...
It was great crack.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a commonly used
expression. Yeah, it's used all the time. If you don't know it, you're going to spend a very confused week. And like if somebody asks you how was your St. Patrick's Day, oh, it was great crack, and then you tell a story.
Oh, okay.
Because we like telling stories.
Yes, absolutely.
And then our last important word for St. Patrick's Day is the word for cheers. We don't say cheers. We don't like saying it in English. Okay. So we'd advise you not to.
So saying cheers in Ireland would be a very un-Irish thing to do.
Yeah, so you know you're foreign. So we say sláinte.
Sláinte. So when you're drinking and you're proposing a toast, for example,
sláinte.
you say sláinte.
Yeah,
sláinte.
and that means health.
Okay.
So we say sláinte.
Okay, it's interesting because in Hungarian it's quite similar. You drink to someone's health.
Yeah.
Which can be conjugated, and it makes it quite complicated, to your health, to her health, to their health.
Oh,
and let's not get into that.
In Ireland we don't conjugate because we've probably had one too many.
Exactly, it's too much alcohol involved. Keep it simple. So it's a very good idea. Okay, so sláinte is a popular, especially for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. If you have your pint of Guinness, there'll normally be a circle, and you go up and you say your sláinte.
Okay. Good, wonderful. And any other Irish expressions worth?
Probably none that I can share.
Those are the major ones that the essential.
Those
Irish
are the big
expressions
ones. Yeah.
Somebody visits Ireland. Okay, wonderful. Or grand, right?
It's grand, yeah.
It's grand. Well, Claire, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a real experience. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like us and share us on Facebook, spread the word to your friends, and feel free to post your comments underneath the video. It's been a pleasure as always, and thank you so much for joining us. And see you next time. Cheers, or go Rev Mahagat.
Go Rev Mahagat.